So, big week coming up.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that for a second.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. What you want to know?
The elephant in the room. Talk about, because there are a lot of people that I have noticed, and I don't know if you've I'm sure you have as well. It's kind of like when you get a new car.
I just got one.
You did.
Thanks, babe.
You're welcome. It's kind of like when you get a new car and it's like maybe like a different color.
Yeah, I got that too.
And now you realize how many vehicles that are that make and model and that color in town that you never noticed before.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a lot of people come up to me, so I'm sure to you it's been the same thing, saying, I've got a heart problem. My friend has a heart problem. My family member has a heart problem. And they're people that are in good shape, or it's just kind of come out of nowhere. How has that whole thing been? So maybe some people can relate to going from like this saga of I've got an autoimmune disorder to I'm having to have heart surgeries.
Ooh, I was just thinking about this morning. It's been a long, 2 years.
A little longer, I think.
Almost 3, I think.
Because it was right after you had a really bad bout with COVID.
Yeah. I think it's been 3 years, almost. So I haven't had a lot of people with heart issues come up to me. But I have had a lot of people ask me, what was the cause of the heart problem? Was it something I was born with? Whatever. And I definitely was not born with it. So all the doctors have said, obviously, they think that COVID attacked my heart the first time I had it, because all the issues started happening after that first bout of COVID, which was the worst out of all of them that I've had. So when they ask why, and I say, well, we don't have proof, but, I have 4 heart doctors who have said, it seems like COVID attacked your heart, and now that's caused this. And they'll say, oh, COVID has caused XYZ for me. So actually Wednesday night, I was talking to one of our front desk girls who's our age. And she said she had a really bad bout of COVID, and it really messed up her hormones. So for a year, she was trying to get her hormones regulated and back in place. And that was a struggle for her. So I hear a lot more. I get more people talking to me about what COVID has caused for them since they've had it.
Yeah, I'm no medical professional, but I do listen to Joe Rogan.
Yeah, so basically you are.
So basically I know everything about it. But it is so weird that it's something that seems very, there's some broad general stuff that happens to people, and there's very specific weird things that happen to people. Because I have people go, man, I wasn't able to finally catch my breath from work when I work out for a year,
right?
For 6 months, whatever. And I've had some people like myself. I got gotten swabbed. I had to get swabbed for Bellator and PFL and stuff, and just for some work and travel things. And I would have it, or I'd have I'd have the antibodies for it really high, but I never really got deathly ill. I was just ugh, and I feel like crap today, and then it was back to it. It's so weird to me.
Yeah, I think the first time I had it, when I was down for months, you told me after the fact, in January or February, when I was finally coming.
Weeks.
Yeah, you didn't feel good, and I was like, oh shit, I had no idea. But I was not functioning for a solid month.
Crazy.
Yeah, so I really haven't had the heart issue thing. I do get asked a lot if I was vaccinated, which I'm very anti-COVID vaccine. Mm-hmm. Have been since the beginning, which I'm sure we just made a lot of people mad.
It's okay. They can get mad.
They can get mad all they want. They can get mad in the same. They can get glad in the same pants they got mad in.
All we got to say is the same thing they were telling us for years. Just trust the science.
Trust the science. So the science shows that vaccine is killing people. And it is crazy to me that I have been told by medical professionals, thank God you didn't get the vaccine because you would be dead.
Said it would have stressed your heart too much, and then with this issue, it would have been a problem. So, again, there's always the people that needed it. I guess it works, whatever. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it was unnecessary risk. I'm glad you didn't have to take it.
Oh, I was going to lose my job if that was a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about that a lot. Okay, if they enforce it, then I'm out of job. And now what are we going to do?
Yeah. Crazy. I've noticed that through this whole process, you have really, really gotten big on maybe not just reminding yourself about taking care of yourself, but really like being more vocal with people about cherishing their health and their ability to do things.
Yeah.
And I think you can give perspective more than, maybe it's more relatable than somebody that's in their 60s saying, you know, youth is wasted on the young, and, you know, hey, be thankful for the fact that you can go work out, or you can do this thing, or you can walk without your hips hurting. To which I say, like, hey, you know.
Yeah, my back hurts all the time, bro.
Turned 41, I need bifocals, and I got bad hips and lower back. But yeah, it seems like you've really like kind of pushed for that a lot. Is that something that you do for yourself or for other people, or in doing it for other people, you're helping yourself?
Probably like a little bit of all of those. Working for the UFC kind of changed my view on health. Growing up, we didn't have Google, and, you know, health was, I ate processed everything.
Then we have to ask Jeeves.
We had Ask Jeeves, and were we not our 16-year-old talking shit to us about, were you around when Google was invented?
No, he said, were you around during the beginning of the internet? I was like, I was alive way before the internet.
Yeah, that was super sweet of him. So like, I didn't grow up in a super healthy household. Like, we used processed everything. But thinking about like 80s and early 90s kids, that's what we ate. Like, that we were the generation of processed foods.
Yeah.
Because before then, your parents didn't have that option, you know?
No, man, I remember, see, for us, it was my mom, she's always been real big about doing like, her and my stepdad, they will find a restaurant that they like. And a lot of times the choice is made about the thrift aspect as opposed to the flavor.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's like, listen, they got this buffet at here, and this is where we're going to go 3 times a week.
Right.
Or no matter what, we have a rotation of 3 or 4 different restaurants. Those are the only ones you would go to, which sadly that's the way it kind of is. But it was never something really great. And then it would be kind of switching between that and, all right, now you're going to do Weight Watchers. Now we're going to try Atkins. Now we're going to, you know,
Yeah.
it was, so for me, there was always like that push for eat better or whatever, exercise, but it was always like, it always felt reinforced negatively.
Yeah, I mean, even nowadays, there's reels and like people are doing memes on, no wonder I have body issues. And then you see like a yogurt commercial from the 90s where the girl has a bikini hanging up on the wall, and she opens her fridge and there's cheesecake and there's a yogurt, and she looks back at the bikini and she goes for the yogurt. So it wasn't about like do something for your health. It's do it because you need to fit into a bikini. So I think we grew up very much like, even looking at our kids, if you go to the high school now, kids are like more accepted in all shapes, sizes, and different types of clothing. Like, you know, our 16-year-old is a little chubby, and he doesn't get teased like we did for that. Like, that's not a thing for him.
That to me is so weird, because I remember, and just being honest, like, you know, I remember having this conversation with Brooke, you know, and talking about, you know, being made fun of if you were the bigger person. Like she was saying, I was the bigger girl, but I had to embrace it or it was going to be bad for me. So like, I'm the chubby kid. I'm the fat kid. I better learn how to make people laugh. I better be entertaining, do something. But now it just seems like everybody is just kind of live and let live when it comes to body image and health.
Right. Almost to a detriment, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's great that we should accept people in all shapes, sizes, all that. I love that. I think that's a good thing. Like, the bullying has to stop, because we don't know that person's life, right? And who knows, they could have, there are women and men out there who have, like, hormone issues, and that's why they're struggling with their weight. Whatever the case may be. But it can't be like, I weigh 300 pounds and can't get off the couch, but you have to accept me like this, even though I'm eating McDonald's every day.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I have the issue with it is, what are you doing to still be healthy? It doesn't matter what you weigh as long as you're eating right. And are you exercising and doing something to keep yourself healthy?
Yeah, sometimes your body is just in a situation where you are going to have an issue losing weight and you're doing all the right stuff. Like, that happens.
Right now.
That happens. But you're not getting quality rest. You're not getting quality recovery. You're sick. You're doing the normal full-time job, the normal side gig, and the normal I'm a mom 24 hours a day. So really, you're behind on everything.
I
So,
have been getting a lot more sleep though.
true.
We've been trying to get 7 hours a day,
True.
close to. So that's better. Where were we going with this?
Well, I was saying, like, how do you like, what would you say to people when they are doing all those things right? Because again, it's different. I feel like for us as coaches, as like instructors, I think it's important for us to always be able to relate something to someone else, honestly, for a selfish reason. Because if I can make sure that this person understands you're doing a good job, you're doing those little things, you're the only one that knows if you're cheating yourself or not.
Right.
So you got to go with that. And if you're not, it's just going to take time. And sometimes I have to say that to somebody else so that I can hear myself say it out loud.
Oh no, I get that. I do that too.
I go, you're beautiful,
Yeah.
you're amazing, but I'm really trying to talk to myself.
I get you.
Yeah, no, I don't do that.
I feel the same way. I think that it's important for people to realize, first of all, especially in fitness. I mean, you see it all the time. Like, it takes, 8 weeks for other people to start noticing. If you're consistently working out and eating healthy, it takes like 8 weeks for somebody else to notice the changes in your body.
And that's someone else, not you.
Not you. So it is not I work out and eat healthy for a week and then I see a result. You got to really be consistent with it. But like you said, that person can cheat. Like, I can count my macros, but not count those 2 Oreos I ate as I walked through the kitchen. Or, I take spin classes, so I can do everything the instructor says and hit all 30 intervals that they said and go hard the whole time. Or she's not going to notice if I don't add gear or if I'm not going the RPM that the thing says. So it is up to you. Now, that being said, my big thing is I don't know what you're going through every day. Every day is not going to be one of those classes where you hit every interval, you can stay on beat. Some days you just go in and you just sit there and you just move a little bit. And to me, that's also, we have to take that into consideration.
Well, and that's because that's not just for the students, that's also for the instructor too. There's some days that students have no idea. Like, again, something I talked about with Brooke, she goes, to me, it's really hard if I'm going to have a bad day because I want those people to have such a good experience. But that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I think we all go into maybe we don't, but I know for me, I definitely went into it feeling the exact same way. Like, I have to put on the best class every time. It doesn't matter what's going on in my life. I better go in there and fake it, and to a degree, that is something you have to do, right? I've gone through some really hard times this year and still walked into a class, and nobody knew what was happening.
Sometimes those are the best classes.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when I'm pissed, like, we are getting shit done and I am on fire. But, emotionally, everybody says you have to separate work and your home life. That's not a realistic expectation. No. That's going to bleed over. I don't think you should go to a class and, like, obviously spill your shit. It shouldn't be like, poor, pitiful, whoever, and this is what's going on in my life. I think it's funny. Like, I think one of the things that people like about my classes are I joke about my kids and stuff in classes.
Yeah.
Like, I'll walk in and be like, listen, my kid told me I look like Elmo today in my coat, so I'm a little irritated. Let's get some shit done, And he really did tell me that the other day.
He sure did.
But I think, yes, to an extent, you're there to give somebody a workout. That doesn't mean you need to. I mean, you can go in and just teach your class. Okay, guys, we're starting here. Let's do it. And you just hit every interval, and you don't have, like, it doesn't have to be a super personal thing. And some classes are going to be super personal and you're going to, like, really inspire somebody. But you don't know if you're going to, maybe all they needed was you to be in that room.
100%.
It doesn't have to be, like, some inspiring, motivational message every time. And I think sometimes, I know for me, that's where I've gotten caught up in it. There are some days we have a Connect song. Typically, that's where you say something motivational and inspiring. And there have been classes when I'm like, guys, we have worked our asses off. I don't know what you carried in with you today. I hope you're able to release some of that. Let's take this song to just celebrate what we've done and continue on. And, like, that's it. That's all I can give you because that's all I have.
Yeah. I fall into the trap sometimes. I get in this thing where I go watch these motivational speeches or, like, end of class or beginning of class speeches or, like, the soapbox speech from the coach, and I watch them from all these guys, and it's sometimes it's people that are multiple time world champions, so when they're saying something, everybody's like, this guy knows,
right?
And sometimes it's just people that just say, like, the right thing, and they're just a good coach. And I see them say those things, and I get into class, and I go, guys, remember, jiu-jitsu's like life.
It sucks.
It sucks. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know. But that's definitely hard. I think a lot of like fitness instructors and coaches can kind of feel that stress of, man, I have to be on, even if I'm not able to be. There's got to be some kind of spark there or something, because if I don't do it and I just dial it in, then that person's going to get like, oh, he didn't bring his best for me, maybe. But most of the time, they're just glad you showed up and taught the class. They didn't have to stand outside. Oh, man, is this guy going to show up?
Right.
Like, they're just happy to be somewhere they can do their own thing. And I think that if you're a professional, that you can offer that, and them not know that wasn't in the plan for the day.
Right.
Them not know, like, right before you got there, man, I had a rough conversation before I got to class, whatever. And the class was still good.
Yeah, I mean, I think just showing up. And then a lot of times coaches, like, maybe it's that, hey, how are you doing? Or after class, you did really good.
Yeah.
And that's all they needed. Maybe we put too much pressure on ourselves.
I can see it.
But I think if you are a coach, and I think there is a difference in a coach and an instructor. If you are a coach, you want to coach and give that, like, inspirational, I'm there, I want to help somebody thing. If you're just an instructor, you're just there to create the best of the best. There's a difference.
Interesting.
You want the winners if you're an instructor.
Yeah, I like the thing about whenever you're coaching, you are actually trying to get across an idea to somebody and maybe get across like a philosophy and concepts, as opposed to like a trainer that's just there to count reps.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one thing, like, I have to say whenever people come in and ask, like, well, you know, it's just how much is the membership or whatever, you say, well, I'm not letting you just walk into class and you just do stuff and I never walk by and say anything, because then at that point you look at it, if you have somebody standing next to you saying something and counting, it went from your monthly gym membership fee at whatever weightlifting gym to now you're paying that, and every single time you're paying extra $50, $60 or whatever, so someone can count for you. But instead, you got somebody that's there, like, motivating you and your partner helping you out, and getting a lot more invested to where you can walk up at the end and say, like, oh, man, I needed that. Something was going on today or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's a little more of that connection. So I think it's important for everybody to kind of live up to the role.
Yeah, I agree. I think inclusivity is such a huge thing. Like, it should be, when you walk into my studio and I'm teaching, I want everybody to feel like they did a good job and nobody's, like, ostracized. And then it doesn't matter if you were the first in class or that's why we show stats. I don't like to show stats. I know for me, I'm not putting myself on the leaderboard because I'm not going to be the first in class. Also, I found it very personally for me, and I know some people are motivated by it, but for me, it was not. It was like, damn, I'm doing horrible in this class. That makes me want to just be like, fuck it, I'm done.
I'm at the bottom again.
Yeah,
nope,
damn.
I'm at the bottom again.
I've been in first place before, and then you get your email, and you're like, oh, shit, I wasn't actually in first place because somebody didn't get on the leaderboard. I think it can be used very motivationally, and some people really, like, need that from us. But I always try to make it a point, like, if you're on the leaderboard and you don't care about stats and you're just here to ride, just ignore that. But I don't ever call anybody out like, so-and-so, you're on. I try not to do the numbers. Like, hey, great to see you. But if it's like we have a girl in our class, in my Wednesday night classes, and she's almost always in the top 3, and the other 2 are dudes. And so sometimes in class, I'll be like, hey, girl, I see you. Go get them. You know what I mean? Because that's pretty
awesome.
badass, because it's hard to beat the guys. Because it goes by, like, points, which is based on power, which typically is based on, it's your speed and your gear resistance, and they can obviously go heavier because they're bigger and they, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I try not to call people out, or I try to be like, even if they're at the bottom, be like, Frankie, I see you, or whoever it is. You know what I mean? Like, you're killing it, keep it up. I just don't want to be that one who's like, I don't know what happened to somebody before class. I don't know what's going on in their personal life. And I don't want to be the one who makes them feel like they couldn't succeed in class. I want them to feel like I kicked ass, maybe not my best class, but I did something, and, you know, that's good.
Yeah, I sometimes just want to see people fail over and over and over and just not stop.
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
Yeah, we have such different, like, workouts. We instruct such different things, but I can see that. I guess looping on back to the original question, health and fitness has always been like a weird thing for me. Food was used as a punishment growing up. And then I was forced to like go run before I could get dinner and whatnot. So like that was hard. So for a while I was very like, fuck working out. I'm not going to do it because it was used as punishment. It was not something fun. And then
when you say food used as punishment, what do you mean by that?
Like,
because to me, when I hear it like that, I'm like, listen, you were bad. Here's a Snickers. And I'm like,
oh my God, I wish.
I'm sorry.
It was the opposite.
I'm going to keep screwing up.
Like the reason why I love mac and cheese. What kid doesn't love mac and cheese, first of all? Bowen. But anyway, I just remember growing up and being chubby in like 5th and 6th grade and being told like, you can't have this macaroni and cheese. You have to go, first of all, you got to go run a mile before you can eat dinner. And first of all, I hate running. Who likes running? I'm just kidding. I love all you Midland Run crew people.
So
y'all is crazy, but I love you.
The episode right before this one was Esau, and he talks about how much he loves running. I'm like, oh, I just don't agree. But
if I'm running, everybody needs to be running. There is a big issue. No, I don't get it. But I know for some people, it's just like a very cathartic thing.
Yeah, for sure.
For me, not at all. Kind of like yoga. It does the opposite for me. So it was like you're not allowed to eat this, but the rest of the family is. So there is, step parents sometimes are not the greatest parents. Thank God you're a great step parent. I really appreciate it.
I do what I can.
So food and fitness were really like in a negative place. It really messed with my body image. So I definitely have some body dysmorphia going on. I think I struggle with that every day. And then when you're forced to do a workout that you don't like, it makes it really hard to want to do anything. Yeah.
It takes away, like, you're like, God, all of this has a negative connotation to it.
So it took me a long time to actually get into it. And then when I started working for the UFC, it actually really motivated me to want to be more fit and to pay attention because you get to know fighters, you get to know what they're doing and see like all of the effort they put into that, how they change their diet, how many workouts they do leading up. Like their training camps are insane. So that really helped. And then the UFC we had just come out with on the Wii. We had just came out with UFC Fighter or whatever. So, like, we did little UFC Fit, I think was it.
UFC Fit.
Okay, yeah. So we just got that. And I remember that was my initial, long ago. That was my initial, like, really big introduction into starting to work out as an adult. Huh. Because I was like, okay, listen, I want to look like Ariane, because she was the big one at the time. And what's the other one? Brittany Palmer. Woo! She was my favorite. She was so sweet.
She did a burlesque show at the Flamingo forever.
Yeah. Both girls are baddies, so I can't hate on them. They have definitely like made their living doing like looking hot. Who doesn't want to do that, So
I'd love to do that. But
yeah, me too.
I'd be broke.
Shut up. Anyway, that was like my introduction. And then I started, and I was a single mom. I had no money. So it was legit like, I'm just going to eat as healthy as I knew how at the time. Not like counting macros, not like doing anything. I tried Weight Watchers at one point, and I was like, fuck this, I'm out.
So talking about that, like for other women that this might strike a chord for, and people in general, when you talk about like the eating right and macros and stuff, explain you do meal prepping. Mm-hmm. So you will pick that up whenever people need some help with that. You'll help them out, get a week of meals or whatever. And you've kind of started to figure out how to put together different things based on different needs. Explain what the issue is with counting macros or doing something like that's really restrictive, like Whole30, like what that specifically triggers for you as opposed to what the intent is.
So I am a binge eater. I have that. I have an eating disorder. And usually I can kind of keep a lid on it, usually. So I did try Whole30, and it is very restrictive. You cut out all sugar. You cut out all processed foods, no dairy. And I really want to, it's a 30-day challenge. So I was like, damn, I can do this. Yeah. And I ended up binging twice on it. I didn't lose as much weight as I wanted to, even. I just don't think I was going to. But it was so restrictive, it was almost impossible to follow. And it also makes you feel like shit the first couple weeks because you cut out so much. I mean, you can't, it's not like a slowly decrease your sugar intake. You decrease everything.
It's like cutting cold turkey.
Yeah.
Your
So,
body's
I mean,
used
and
to it.
obviously your body is addicted to sugar. I mean, we all are at this point. Look at how we live. So it makes you feel like shit. And then you finally get back into the swing of things. But it's so restrictive. It was hard to go out to eat. It was, I hadn't at the time figured out how to cook that way and make it to where it was like stuff my kids would eat.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a lot. It was a lot of work. And it led to one of my bigger binge eatings after I completed the 30 days. And of course, I gained all the weight I had lost back. Counting macros does the same thing for me. I get like hyper fixated on that. And if I go over, then I binge.
Because it's the like, I already screwed the day up anyway.
I fucked it up.
Yeah.
So, and then so recently, because I'm struggling losing some weight that I had put on, I had tried, let me just see where I'm at. And I was under my macros on everything, actually. I was actually hitting my protein or really close to hitting my protein, which is really hard for me. But as far as like fats and carbs, I was staying under. And I was like, it made me even more upset because I'm like, now this doesn't make sense that I'm not losing weight. I'm working out and I'm actually doing pretty good. And that made me want to binge as well. So for me, it's a huge trigger. Like this is too restrictive and too hyper-focused on food. Like my relationship with food is not good enough yet to be able to do that and it not trigger something.
Makes sense.
So I just try to cook and eat clean. Like we have switched from either I bake bread, which I haven't in a minute. I need to.
Get on that.
Okay, ew. I either bake our bread or like we do Dave's Killer bread now. You know, we do low carb tortillas. But if I cook, there's not even like our spaghetti sauce I make homemade.
Yeah.
And it's not really hard. With some tomato sauce and seasonings.
So what you're saying is like
it's doable.
Cooking and doing the wife stuff, that's not hard. It's fine. It's easy.
It's not hard. It's not easy.
It's not a big deal.
But what I'm saying is it is manageable as long as you make it a priority. You have to make it a priority is the thing. My thing is if you're a parent, you are not living just for you. You are living for those little lives you created. So when you get sick and it's your fault because you didn't eat healthy and you've chosen not to exercise, you can't go play with your kid because you chose not to eat healthy and you chose not to exercise because it's too hard.
Yeah.
Or you don't have enough time. And now you're missing out on all these things with your kid. Or now you have to have a walker. Or now your kid is taking care of you when they should be able to be a kid. How shitty of a parent are you?
Yeah. It sounds so horrible, but there's a little part of me that gets a little bit like, haha, whenever I go back to my old high school and I see people that I went to high school with that were people that would make fun of me for being overweight and look at them now and it's like, oh, bro.
Yeah.
You know, but then at the same time, you got to look back. You have to look inside and go like, well, number one,
I've been there.
I can't say anything. And outside of that, like that is them making a choice that's having a negative impact across their entire life. So for me, it should be something where I'm like, damn, it sucks.
Yeah.
Could I help you out? Do you need something? But that's a weird situation to be in.
I mean, I get it. Like it's very hard to fit in a workout, but I think I know you get it. I don't have time. Do you have time to sit in the hospital? Do you have time to die 20 years earlier? Like, hello. Do you not want to see your grandkids?
Chad Lyman and I don't think I'm pretty sure he would say, hey, it's not my original idea, but he was talking at a course I was helping teach with, and he said, you know, everybody has to choose their hard. Mm-hmm. You know, like getting up in the morning and lifting weights is hard, but being weak and injuring yourself, hurting your back at work, trying to pick something up or pick up a kid, that's hard too. You know, meal prepping and eating the right stuff is hard, but you know, feeling like crap and not having energy, like all these different things, like marriage is hard.
Marriage is hard.
Not having a support system and being all by yourself is hard. Like you're going to have to choose what your heart is for you.
And I'm not like, I get it being in the trenches, especially with little kids and doing it alone. It's fucking like, I cannot add another thing. I have been there. Mm-hmm. And now looking at it, I'm like, you know, could I have though? Could I have gotten up 20? I mean, I did Jillian Michaels DVDs for a long time, and that's how I lost 40 pounds. was a 20-minute Jillian Michaels DVD 5 days a week.
That's
and
awesome.
eating right. And it wasn't even like, I'm going to make sure it has no sugar, it has no carbs, whatever. It was like, okay, instead of going out to eat, those meal ready things, you can just throw in the oven with some fish and vegetables.
And now it's crazy, like just how much technology can help out now. Every single thing that you're talking about that people struggle with, you can find on Instagram. Here's meals. Here's workouts. Here's a Jillian Michaels on Netflix.
Yeah.
You can watch it free on Prime or whatever. Like there's so many ways for people to be active and take their health into their hands, as opposed to being like, well, I'm okay with it right now.
Yeah.
Well, essentially they're saying like, it's like, well, I'm fine with it. It is what it is. I'll get to it later. It's not a big deal. And then one day it's a big deal.
Right. I mean, I was working out 5 or more days a week and eating healthy, and I almost died.
Yeah.
So I guess that was a huge perspective change, because had I not been doing those things, I probably would be dead. Like at 36 years old, dead, leaving behind 2 kids. Because being sick, like shit like that, cancer, they don't give a fuck if you have kids or not. If you're not taking care of yourself, you are asking for your body to start shutting down and attacking you.
Not good. You brought something up when you worked for the UFC. So I've gotten several of these questions, and now I get to ask you about it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. You didn't sign an NDA, right?
No.
Dana would definitely.
Dana, come to our podcast. Love you.
So doing that job,
Yeah.
because I know you and I definitely have a lot of fight stories and dealing with fighters. What was tell me what your very first day on the job was like.
I was a receptionist when I first started. First day on the job, Randy Couture walks in. So the thing is, in our old building, in the building I was in, you walk in and there's an upstairs, which are where all the executives are. It's locked. You have to be buzzed in. So the rule is the receptionist has to call that person's admin, and the admin says, okay, you can send him up whenever, right? They're supposed to sit in the damn lobby. First of all, I had no idea really. I knew what the UFC was, but I didn't know any of the fighters. I didn't watch it. It was not like, I just thought it was fucking cool, right? Like, this is a cool job. I'm going to go here. Randy Couture walks in and I was like, hi, I'm here to see Dana White. I'm like, oh, okay, what's your name? And he goes, Randy Couture. And I'm like, okay. So I call Dana's assistant and she's like, okay, Dana's not ready yet. Give us a few minutes. We'll send him up. Randy just walks the fuck up the stairs and tries to open the door. And so it's like a glass door and it's like, I'm like, fuck. So first day on the job, Randy's like, fucks me over. That's awesome. Like the next day, it was Brock Lesnar. And he just walked upstairs. I was like, hi, how are you? How can I help you? And he just walks up. I'm like, who is this guy?
Who is this?
I was like, I am going to get fired because these dudes don't listen.
Who is this giant water buffalo walking upstairs?
So that was interesting. I do love Randy Couture and Brock Lesnar. They ended up being like, Randy came down after that and was like, you are new, blah, blah, blah. I'm so-and-so. And I'm like, cool. I had no idea,
He's on the Mount Rushmore for sure.
Yeah, I was like, who the fuck is this dude? And then like a couple weeks later, I got to go to UFC 109. Randy Couture and Mark Coleman headlined. Yep. And I got to see my first UFC fight. And I was like, oh, this is so awesome. And that's when I fell in love with the heavyweight division. Because it was just like, they were gnarly, It was crazy. So, that was my first day on the job. Thanks, Randy.
Hardest people to deal with?
Fucking John Jones.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. For so many reasons, fuck that guy.
I specifically want to know about, there was a time, and it was in the beginning part of John Jones' career, he was like the headlining guy, he's running through people. Let's remember, at like 22 years old, he does a flying knee to Shogun and just murks him, which is insane because Shogun at that time was like in the talks of like, he's one of the best pound for pound in the world coming from Pride.
Right.
That's how awesome John Jones was. And then it got to a point where he was being really picky and choosy with his fights and last minute stuff. And I heard a rumor that you guys didn't even get to have your annual Christmas party because of John Jones.
Fuck you, John Jones. So actually, I think I can't remember, did we end up having it or not? I know we all got fucked over really hardcore that year. So that was the year that John Jones last minute canceled his fight.
That was against Dan Henderson
I
or,
think
Chael's
so.
son?
One of them.
No, but Chael stepped in last minute. So it was a Dan Henderson.
It was Dan Henderson. So I don't know if you remember on Twitter, there were fighters saying like, hey, John, you owe me this much money for my camp. Send it here. I think that, first of all, he was impossible to get. At that time, I had moved over to booking flights. So I had gone from receptionist to booking the flights and transportation for fighters, camps, and anybody like who was traveling with
coaching staff and
like anybody from UFC who was going to the event. So we did all that. So you have to contact the fighter, their manager, get their corner information, all that good stuff. He was impossible to get information from. It was like pulling teeth. It was ridiculous. And then so he cancels his fight last minute. And thinking about like a fighter, number one, is paying for their camp out of pocket before they fight.
People don't realize that.
Like, it's a lot of money. We're not talking a couple $100. We're talking like tens of thousands of dollars, depending on how big you are.
And even like scaling that back, people don't realize that that's something that happens from day one, because guys start as amateurs. They're paying a membership at a gym, and then they have to pay their travel, their hotel, their meals. They're doing their weight cut. So they're essentially having a bunch of people like front them either money or front them services because, hey, this guy, I'm investing in this guy.
Yeah.
So it's not just the fighter missing out. It's a coaching staff. It's training partners. It's a lot of people that are involved.
Not only that, but all the time and energy, the getting beat up, the hurt muscle, like the whole thing is a lot for a fighter. That's essentially he took food out off their table, and a lot of those fighters have families, and it pissed me off so much because I was like, not only did I spend like over a month preparing, getting flights for everybody, then we have to cancel everything. Then you have just knowing, like you get to know some of the fighters on a personal level, and you're like, dude, I know what he missed out on so much with his kid to prepare for this because he knew he was going to make $5,000 or whatever, $10,000 for being one of the first fights base. And then if he got knockout of the night, if he got whatever, he was going to get a bonus. They don't make a lot of money when they first start. Not everybody is the John Jones money.
That's again a misconception. People think I'm a pro fighter. Like, listen, when you get your like debut, even now, there's people like, I'll give you 300 and 300, 500 and 500.
Yeah.
You know, like high end right now I'm seeing is 750 and 750, and that's it. Like I showed up and made $750. Maybe they paid my travel, possibly paid my hotel.
Right.
But I mean, just that week alone with the weight cutting, if you're a responsible fighter, a lot of guys pay for their coaching staff, or the coaching staff's paying out of pocket. So there's a lot of little things that come up that people don't realize.
Yeah, that shit sucked. I mean, and it put everybody, I mean, financially, that was a huge hit to the UFC because think about ticket sales,
and they had
arena,
to put a deposit down the arena, everything. Yeah.
Everything that goes into it. I mean, obviously, the Octagon travels. So, you know, may have been across the United States the week before and is now driving to wherever that fight was.
Yep.
So there's like so many little things people don't think about. That pissed me off so much just on how disrespectful to not only to Dana White, the person who's pushing you and promoting you. Yeah. How fucking disrespectful. And then to everybody else involved. And then look at how much other disrespectful shit he's done. Like, I just have zero respect for him.
Who was most people think is like a bad guy, jerk, hard to deal with, but maybe even if it's a couple of the guys that actually are really sweethearts, maybe people don't realize it.
So Nick and Nate, I had an issue with at first. They wouldn't get on a flight, and
shocker,
shocking. I know that we already knew. Like you were told, if you're doing Nick and Nate, like you're gonna have issues. They're gonna miss their flights. Okay, cool. One time I was having trouble with them getting on it. Like I had rebooked flights. I was a single mom. So I called and I was like, you guys are going to make me lose my fucking job. I am a single mom to a 6-year-old. Get on the goddamn flight. And then they made their flight and they called me back and said, we're really sorry. And I never had issues with them again.
That's awesome.
So that was cool. Rampage.
He's a sweetheart.
He's like a big teddy bear. DC is the biggest teddy bear.
Yeah.
Daniel Cormier, so nice. Who are some that are mean? Because now I just look at them as the guys that I know.
Hey, listen, he's a character, and he's out there. Bobby Green,
Yeah,
such a
no
nice
issues.
dude.
I think the thing is, typically, I mean, obviously, some of these guys have to be pissed, right? They have to hate the person to fight them.
I think that's a lot of that's like some of there's a weird thing. Some of the old school guys are like that, and then you feel like, oh, maybe we understand at this point it's a sport, it's a competitive activity, but then you have to switch right back to the fact that no, there's some people that really have to do that. They like disassociate, this dehumanize that person is
Yeah.
not a person. They're
Right.
not my friend. They don't have a family. I'm
there to murder, you know?
So there's a lot, but then you think like that. There's football players that are like that.
I think, yeah, it depends on the athlete.
I'm sure there's CrossFitters like that.
I'm sure. Whatever you got to do to get motivated. But
I'm gonna hit that imam today because that guy's a piece of.
Yeah. Most of them were pretty nice. There's some fighters, like I still talk to this day, like Travis Brown and I still talk. Danny Castillo and I follow each other on social media and like have congratulated each other on kids and like talked about, he told us like congratulations on our wedding. And so that's cool to see him go from a single dude to like family man with kids and have his own gym. That's super rad. It's just interesting to see what happens with some of the fighters and like see where they go.
What is the thing that you did not maybe realize while you had that job about the fighter or coach aspect that now you have an inside view on?
Y'all are all assholes. No, I'm just kidding. No, there's so much extra work that goes into it. Like so much dedication and time, I think. Like you just think they're going to go, this is their job. They go train. And then you look at like what that means.
To train every day?
To train every day, whether you feel good, you don't feel good. You got your ass kicked the night before, you're still sore. The coaches to come in every day and like continuously motivate and push that fighter to do better. All the money and time that goes into it. Like there's so much more. To the people who are like, I can only work out 3 times a week. These guys work out 7 times a week, 2-3 times a day. Like, it's just a different. It just gives you more respect for the sport. I think I didn't realize how much went into the sport, and how many different like training types there are. Like different gyms they go to. It's not like they're just doing jujitsu.
Yeah.
There's so much to it.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a lot.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a lot.
A little bit of a lot. So surgery coming up. When this comes out, you will have just had surgery.
Oh, okay, yeah.
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 You'll be a week off of it.
Okay.
Goals to finish the year.
Get back into spin classes immediately. Last time it's supposed to be a 2 weeks off type of thing. Well, literally it's 1 week, but I want to ease myself back into that second. So I'm taking 2 weeks off from spin. Yeah, I want to do that. I want to get back because it was 2 months. I didn't get to do shit. And I was like bedridden for weeks and it sucked. It has been a very like emotional, it's been a very depressing time.
Yeah.
This whole process from the beginning, from thinking I had an autoimmune disease till now, has not only killed my faith in medical professionals for the most part, killed. It has also, I've learned so much more about the FDA and the bullshit that is the FDA.
Mm-hmm.
I was already very like, I don't want to do prescription medication anyway. But now I definitely am very anti.
Yeah.
Don't take a pill to fix it. Like I understand sometimes you have to. And if this surgery doesn't work, I will have to.
There's a difference between treating a symptom and treating the issue.
Right.
Yeah.
But my concern is if this surgery doesn't work and I am forced to be put on medication, which I will do because I don't want to die from an enlarged heart, there will be so many other issues that come from that medication.
Potentially, yeah.
I mean, if you look at every heart medication there is, the side effects are not only like a mile long, but they always include something major. Like it can cause a different type of heart problem. Yeah. It can cause liver damage. It can cause whatever. So my goal would be to, depending on how surgery goes, get back into spin. If it doesn't turn out right, let's find a different doctor and move on to the next option.
And to close, in whatever way you want to say it, what is something that you would say to anybody struggling And when I say this, when someone's struggling with their health, trying to get themselves back where they want to be, trying to get their head right on it, what would you tell that person, really knowing that you're trying to tell yourself?
Just start today doing something, whether that be you eat one clean meal a day, or maybe you go for a walk. Like, just do something today. Don't wait. Because they're not that whole I'll start Monday thing. That doesn't work. Just start today and just keep going. Like, really, that is just keep going.
Love it.
Inspiration.
We can write the book now.
Ugh. Do we have to? That's like a big project.
Not doing it. You good?
Yeah.